Megyn Kelly's doing a segment on Christmas. She's going to bring Santa into it. She's going to bring race into it. Fascinating. Let's watch.
In Slate, they have a piece on .com. Santa Claus should not be a white man anymore. And when I saw this headline, I kind of laughed and I said, oh, this is so ridiculous. Yet another person claiming it's racist to have a white Santa, you know? And by the way, for all you kids watching at home, Santa just is white, but this person is just arguing that maybe we should also have a black Santa. But, you know, Santa is what he is, and just so you know, we're just debating this because someone wrote about it, kids. Okay, I wanted to get that straight.
Oh, Santa's white, is he? Oh, I didn't know that. Well, Santa's, of course, based on St. Nicholas. St. Nicholas is from modern-day Turkey. Interesting. I'm glad to think Fox News thinks that Turks are white. Thank you. And you might think that, right? Now, of course, he wasn't Turkish. He was Greek at the time. and for all time, really. And what happened was the Dutch took it and made a bunch of stories about it. And a lot of that happened in the U.S., people of Dutch origin. And also, St. Nicholas was the most popular saint in Europe for a long time, especially in Holland. And so the Dutch started calling him Sinterklaas. It's kind of fun. We can go back to that. Sinterklaas is coming. And they had all these stories about reindeer and a jolly elf wearing a red suit, right? And part of the reason we have this tradition is because the original St. Nicholas was a fascinating guy. One of the stories is that if you left your shoes out, he'd leave money in them. He came from a wealthy family, and the main thing he did, eventually he became the patron saint of sailors, children, and other categories as well, merchants. He saved 3 girls who were going to be sold off into slavery and prostitution by their dad. Classy dad. Okay, he gave their dowry so that they could be saved. But originally, the main thing he did was look out for the poor. And that's why he'd leave money for you in your shoes. And the Dutch thought this is a lovely tradition. And in the 1800s, especially here in America, we began to tell stories about it. And then eventually, of course, turned it into advertising. Thomas Nast had the drawing of Santa Claus that you might remember now. So it went from Sinterklaas to Santa Claus in the American version as our American capitalists got into it, right? And they did for, of course, stores that wanted to sell more products and for magazines that wanted to sell more products. And now what you see here, of course, is a picture of the actual Santa Claus, who doesn't quite look white on the right. And then the Santa Claus that he wound up becoming. So St. Nicholas, that's from an old Eastern Orthodox church drawing. Now, we don't have an actual picture of St. Nicholas, and there's many different pictures of St. Nicholas, where he looks largely Mediterranean. In that picture, he doesn't look particularly black, right? But likely he wasn't black or white, he was Mediterranean. Whatever you might think is Mediterranean, whether you consider that white or not. But I love the fact that Megyn Kelly's like, no, kids at home, remember, Santa's white. Don't let the liberals tell you otherwise. Now, of course, we're also leaving out the fact that Santa Claus doesn't exist. It's a tiny little fact that we left out there, okay? But in Fox News world, kids, he exists and he's white. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Now, of course, the idea that he could come from some pagan tradition, and of course, the Christians took on the traditions of Saturnalia and other holidays around the winter solstice, is an absolute injustice that Fox News cannot stomach. We've done many stories about that. But what's interesting is it is said that it is, quote, it is impossible to separate Christmas from its pagan origins. Well, what kind of liberal organization said that? Oh yeah, the U.S. Catholic. That's interesting. All right, but let's go back to Megyn Kelly, because she's going to insist that not only is Santa white, another figure is white. Let's watch.
Just because it makes you feel uncomfortable doesn't mean it has to change. You know, I mean, Jesus was a white man too, but you know, it's like, he was a historical figure. I mean, that's a verifiable fact, as is Santa. I just want the kids watching to know that. Yes. But my point is, how do you just revise it, you know, in the middle of the legacy of the story and change Santa from white to black?
Yeah, I mean, you can't. You know, you can't take facts and then try to change them to fit some sort of a political agenda or a sensitivity agenda.
You can't change the color of Jesus or Santa to fit your agenda, said Fox News. Now, Jesus is white, everybody. You remember that, all right? Blonde, blue-eyed, white. They didn't say blonde and blue-eyed, to be fair. But let me show you the real men of Bethlehem. Interesting. So that's a depiction of men from the literal town of Bethlehem, where Jesus came from. Now, if you're insisting they're white, it's a curious thing to insist upon, right? Yeah, you can think they're white, and look, that's an open question as to people from the Middle East, what they really are. We have a word for it. It's Arab. Okay. Like heart attacks all over Fox News land. Jesus is an Arab? Now, of course, he was a Jewish carpenter, right? Jewish Arabs, they're Semites. They're from the same region. They're from the same race. And so, okay, if you want to insist that they're white, but it's a curious thing to insist. If you insist that he was Middle Eastern, you insisted that he was, Santa was Mediterranean, that would make more sense. Now, let me show you again. Now, this will be an actual picture of a guy from Bethlehem next to Fox News' version of Jesus. On the left, we have the Fox News version. On the right-hand side, we have an actual dude from Bethlehem, which is probably what Jesus looked like. Not specifically that gentleman, but certainly that tone. Little known fact, Fox News also insists that the Easter Bunny is white. Kids at home, the Easter Bunny is white. Fox News version on the left, the real Easter Bunny on the right, also interestingly, brown skin. Now, if you want to know what a guy from Santa Claus's particular region might look like, well, I actually know a guy from a very nearby area in Turkey. The town that St. Nicholas is from is Demre. He looks like this. Oh, yeah. Right now, heads exploding at Fox News. Turns out Santa Claus looks like a Young Turk.